Ever since his debut in the arcades, all the way back in 1981, Donkey Kong has become a beloved icon in the world of video games and has found his way into all gamers' hearts. Join me as we delve into the rich history of this legendary franchise and this legendary character. Donkey Kong was created by Shigeru Miyamoto, a young designer at Nintendo at the time. Inspired by his love for Popeye cartoons, Miyamoto set out to create a game centered around a damsel in distress, a heroic plumber, and a mischievous ape. This game was players' first introduction to the character of Jumpman, later renamed Mario, as he climbed platforms and leaped over barrels to rescue his girlfriend, Pauline, from the clutches of the giant monkey Donkey Kong. And several sequels and a new console later, things got different, in the best way possible. In 1994, Donkey Kong made a triumphant return with the release of Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo. Developed by Rare, this, at the time, groundbreaking game featured pre-rendered 3D graphics that pushed the limits of what was possible on the SNES hardware. Over the years, Donkey Kong has appeared in literally dozens of sequels and spin-off titles, including Donkey Kong 64, Donkey Kong Country Returns, and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Each game has added new layers of gameplay while staying true to the series' roots. Donkey Kong has also become a staple in the competitive gaming scene, with players around the world competing for high scores and speedrun records. The game's challenging level design and precise controls have made it a favorite among speedrunners and retro gaming enthusiasts alike. From his humble beginnings in the arcade to quite literally defining what a 2D platformer could be, the history of Donkey Kong is a testament to the enduring appeal of classic video games. Whether you're a seasoned gamer or you're new to the series, there's no denying the impact that Donkey Kong has had on the world of gaming.
It's a jungle in there. Donkey Kong Country rated E for everyone on Game Boy Color. Get into it.
One of my earliest and most vivid childhood memories when it comes to video games was playing Donkey Kong Country on the Game Boy Advance at my grandma and grandpa's house. My brother and I would go over there and I'd play Donkey Kong on the blue Game Boy Advance, and my brother would play his Hot Wheels game on his silver Game Boy Advance, and we'd crack open some cream sodas, and it was just such a good time. And obviously, it didn't occur to me until much later that the Game Boy Advance version of the game is actually considered inferior to a lot of people, and is actually a port, obviously, of the Super Nintendo version of the game. And even though, yes, this is technically the inferior version of the game, I have to give it credit where credit is due. David Wise, the man who composed the music for the first two Donkey Kong Countries and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, had to find a way to compress the music that would fit on a Game Boy Advance. And he did just that. The game looks and runs great on the Game Boy Advance, even though, yes, it isn't quite as pretty and the colors don't look quite as good as it does on the Super Nintendo. Also, the Game Boy Advance version features several mini-games that are completely absent from the SNES version. Fast forward about 15 or 16 years, and I've completed every single Donkey Kong Country game more times than I can count, except for Donkey Kong 64, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I owe most of, if not all of my love for gaming to that little Game Boy Advance game, which I still own, by the way. These games have seen so many of us players through the darkest of days, and the happiest of ones. Not only are these games the absolute pinnacle of what every game should strive to be, with the precise gameplay, the fantastic musical score, the graphics, and the atmosphere, but the memory and the nostalgia we have attached to these games, it's impossible to put into words. It has now been over 10 years since the last mainline Donkey Kong game in Tropical Freeze, and the rumor for a long time has been that Nintendo and company are hard at work at a new Donkey Kong game, and for that we can only hope. These games and these characters are the sole reason I fell in love with gaming in the first place, and for that I owe them a lot. If you have a Nintendo Switch console and, for whatever reason, you've never played the Donkey Kong Country games, I highly encourage you to go play them right now. Donkey Kong Country, the original, Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest, and Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble are all on Nintendo Switch Online for the SNES, and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is available to buy at GameStop or the eShop or wherever you get your games from. They are all incredibly special in their own ways. If you happen to make it this far in the video, I really appreciate you watching. This franchise obviously means a lot to me, and I've been wanting to make a video on them for some time. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.